The States has become the latest country to impose this mandatory COVID testing on visitors from China. Italy is now urging the rest of the European Union, the whole of the European Union, to do exactly the same thing. Earlier today, a government spokesperson said there were no plans to introduce these tests in this country. But then the Defence Secretary told GBNews earlier that the UK's response to China opening up overseas travel is, in quotes, under a review. So I'm asking you, should we follow the US, India, Japan and Italy and return to mandatory testing for those travelling from China? Or could this signal a return to more and more travel restrictions and also infringements on our civil liberties? So, Jo, shall I start with you? What do you think of this?
It makes absolute common sense to test people coming from mainland China because we cannot trust the data that's come out of China. We don't know the true number of deaths. All we know is they went into an extreme lockdown, then they relaxed it, they let the genie out of the bottle. So we've got no data that we can rely on coming out of China. It seems utterly ridiculous to me to risk going back to the sort of lockdown and the sort of infringements on our lives that you just talked about if we just allow people to come in from a country where they may well bring in a variant that we don't yet know about. And it just, it doesn't seem a big deal that if you're coming from that place, you're tested.
Well, why only China? COVID is going around many countries across the world, including our own. We have vaccinations in this country that people can opt into. So what's the problem?
Because we can't trust the Chinese data.
So if there are 1 million cases in China, 1 billion cases in China, that's what we should use as the arbiter?
We should use the scientific evidence because we don't know what variants they've got. And yes, of course, it's going to mutate and it's probably going to be around for the rest of our lives.
Well, exactly.
In one form or other.
When do we stop testing people?
Why would you bring in something that at the moment doesn't appear to be in this country? Why wouldn't you just use a common sense thing? If you get something like foot and mouth disease on a farm, for instance, you put barriers in so people have to walk through disinfectant. It's not a big deal.